thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Why I Love Flagler County, your local podcast spotlighting local businesses and local residents on why they like being in Flagler County. So today I'm super excited to have my guest, Mr. Josh Johnson, with us today. Josh, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. Well, yeah, so you are also new to the area. Well, I think you're a little bit newer technically than I am, but you have been doing some really cool stuff over here, and we've gotten connected through our local BNI chapter, and it's been really awesome to see and learn more about you. So I'm really excited for this. Um, we'll kind of start off. I know a little bit about it, but you can tell me, you can go a little bit more in depth. I'd love to know your story. Coming to Flagler, coming to Palm Coast, how did you find this side of the state?
Originally, I'm from Tampa. I'm born and raised in Tampa, Florida. I spent my college years in Daytona Beach. I went to
Oh, okay.
Bethune-Cookman University as an undergrad. I played baseball there. And then following college, I played a short stint of professional baseball up in Washington, the state, before suffering an injury. And then I moved to Jacksonville. So I kind of had it sandwiched in there.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Jacksonville for 4 years, where my wife and I, we got married and everything, or we got engaged. We went down to St. Pete, where Stetson University's law school is located. So the university is located in DeLand. The law school is down in South St. Pete. Spent 3 years there at the law school, and then 3.5, 4 years with the practice that I was just with, and then we transitioned back over here to St. Augustine.
Awesome.
And so we're not too far from Flagler at all.
Oh, it's so funny. This is kind of funny because someone told me literally the other week that like they lived in like Daytona and then St. Augustine, and they lived like they always kept going between those two places, and they had never honestly stopped in Flagler. So they had no idea Flagler existed until they eventually ended up moving here. Was that kind of similar? Or were you
Yeah,
familiar enough with Flagler? You're like, what is
no,
Palm Coast exactly?
I did not know what Palm Coast was. I actually worked at a very small restaurant in Daytona following school for about 5 months. It's called Lime Mexican Grill. And one of the servers there, he said he lived in Palm Coast. And I always remember Palm Coast just being when I drove from Daytona to Jacksonville, it was just like a long wall and it would say Palm Coast somewhere over there.
Right.
And I never got off the exit, so I never knew how beautiful it was. I just also I thought it was like a secret small town. I was like, I don't know what's off this exit. But now that I've experienced it, it's a beautiful little city.
That's so funny. I didn't realize. So I'm originally from Michigan. So we had no idea what Palm Coast was either. But that's also because we just weren't here. Like we had been to
Yeah,
Daytona countless times, Port Orange, things like that. We had never really gone north. It was just, like you straight to like St. Augustine or
yeah.
something, nothing in between. So we were like, what is Palm Coast? Like it's been here the whole time.
I
Uh,
know. I didn't know it was as big as it is. I mean, literally, I'm talking. I seen the exit, and I was just, oh, okay, that's where my
yeah,
buddy
there's like
lives. I'll keep driving.
Yeah, it's funny that you are the second person in the past 2 weeks who've said that literally they lived like right there but never stopped in Palm Coast. It's kind of cool.
Never.
So when people say like it's growing too big, I'm like, I think we have a few more years of it as kind of a secret. I feel like we still have a little bit time where we're still a little hidden, I feel.
Yeah, I think that the popularity of Daytona is starting to wear off a little bit, and it's starting to drag out the
Mm,
neighboring cities. I think Palm Coast is next on the tourist map.
I think so. We just got a Costco in Daytona, so maybe
Oh,
that'll boost going up. Maybe we're
yeah.
getting a BJ's actually, I just realized, in
I,
Palm
I
Coast.
I heard Costco's all the rave, so
You've never been to Costco?
I've been to Costco. I heard it's
Okay.
really good.
Oh, okay.
I know there's BJ's. I see BJ's around, but everyone talks very highly of Costco. So
I love Costco. I've not been to
yeah.
Costco since I moved to Florida.
Oh,
It's
okay.
it's very heartbreaking, but I'm excited. Once the opening happens and then it's been enough and people are like, okay, I know what Costco is, then I'll go. Like
Yeah,
not for a while.
that's fair. That's fair.
So I was just in Tampa literally yesterday. So you've
Oh,
lived
wow.
all over the state and I honestly would say they're all pretty different, even though they're all in Florida. What have you maybe liked about this area? I'm sure there are pros and cons to everything, but what have you enjoyed that's different from maybe Tampa or Jacksonville or St. Pete?
Yeah, so what you probably experienced in Tampa the other day is not the Tampa I grew up in. Tampa was it was a big city, but it was like a small big city. Like
I
we
gotcha.
have all the main attractions. We have sports teams that win, very good sports teams. We have theme parks. We have the beach. We have everything there. But now it's been a lot of people migrating to Tampa as like the new kind of New York City. I feel like,
Really?
yeah, traffic is
Well, yeah.
way worse than I recall it
Oh,
being growing
wow.
up.
Yeah.
And then I actually, and everyone from Tampa, they love Clearwater Beach. That's awesome. But I fell in love with this coast and this beach when I
Mm.
was in undergrad. We did a lot of workouts at the beach for the baseball team, and so we spent a lot of hours on the beach. And I just fell in love with it, especially from like Palm Coast up to St. Augustine. Um, it's just different. I love how the waves hit here. I just feel like it's a little more beachy. Um, Daytona, it was a tourist attraction when I was an undergrad. We had pretty good spring breaks. And then Jacksonville's a very big city as well. And I liked how a big mixing pot. So Jacksonville has its, I think, quadrants, whatever it's, and
Hmm.
each spot has like its own type of people. I love that about Jacksonville. You knew what you were going to get wherever you went. I feel like Flagler and St. Augustine kind of just offers that small town beach vibe of like, hey,
Yeah.
oh, you can go ahead of me, or oh, I think this is very people here are very nice. It's just like a
Yeah.
very happy-go-lucky area.
I love that. Yeah. Also, I feel like, we don't like if you go to Daytona Beach, you have to parking is just
Oh yeah, yeah. Parking
yeah.
parking get out of hand. Because it's that tourist attraction. I think,
Yeah.
but they don't
Isn't it
understand.
called like the world's most famous beach? Like that's what
It
they call themselves.
is it. That's
It's
what they
very interesting.
say, but it might be true. I don't know.
I've
Because
never fact checked it in the like countless times I've been to Daytona since I was a child. I've never fact checked that. I should do
well,
that now.
they have a whole
Yeah,
banner
they
for it, so
have the
you have to
sign.
accept it. You have to
Right.
accept
Yeah.
it.
That's why I've never fact checked it. I just believed it. It was the big billboard.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, sounds legit.
yeah, I think with the races there as well, the NASCAR
Mm,
races, it pulls a huge attraction for that.
yeah.
So you pretty much become famous simply off of NASCAR and then the waters
Yeah.
4 miles down the road.
So beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, so you're a personal injury lawyer, so I'd love for you to talk about
Yes.
how you got into that, and then also what is that? So maybe some people might not fully understand of everything that you do. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that.
Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, I played baseball my entire life. I played sports my entire life. And after suffering an injury, it was kind of career ending. I was looking for another way to be successful. I wanted to find a way,
Hmm.
to do something, maybe even give back. And luckily, I had the school resume, the college resume, and everything, the grades to go to law school. Going into law school, I didn't know uh, specifically that I was going to do personal injury. I knew
Hmm.
I didn't want to do family law. Um, that's a huge headache. So luckily, my fiance at the time, made a connection with me, and one of her she was a teacher at the time, and the leader of her science department, his son just started a law firm. His name was Lauren Pincus, and I needed an internship. Stetson was 92% at least second generation attorneys, and I didn't know any attorneys. So she made that connection for me. He practiced personal injury and criminal defense. He was a former
Hmm.
prosecutor for 7 years. And he welcomed me in with open arms, and that kind of just opened the door for me. I mean, the way he ran the practice of big heart, his heart's bigger than his head. And it really shows that you can do good for people. The personal injury aspect of it is helping people when something bad happens caused by someone else's negligence. So car
Hmm.
accidents, slip and falls, dog bites. It's the major focus is probably car accidents or motor
Hmm.
vehicle accidents, truck, motorcycles, pedestrians being hit. You get people at a very low moment at no fault of theirs. So when you're able to help someone that was just a victim of wrong place, wrong time, and their whole world's been flipped upside down, it's very rewarding. I think it's
Hmm.
one of the practice areas that in the way it works in our field is that the client doesn't pay us directly. We work on a contingency fee, so we get paid at the end of
Hmm.
it, and usually by an insurance company.
Hmm.
So it's all around rewarding because I'm not having to track down people for money, and I really don't want to do that. I want to help as
Right.
much as I can. So personal injury allows me to really just to be that I guess the fighter, the right guy in the right place to help people at their lowest moment. So that it's
Hmm.
very rewarding in that sense.
Yeah. And I've learned this recently as well, and I'd love for you to share in your words, but when is the best time for someone to call you? Like maybe when something has happened, when is the best time for them to contact you?
Yeah, so you might hear the commercials that run, call 911 and then call me because a lot of times what happens is um, you may give a statement. So once the accident happens, and same thing with criminal as well.
Hmm.
If something happens, you want to call your attorney as soon as possible. 911 to get the cops out, get the officials out there to make sure everything's regulated and the ambulance show up if
Sure.
needed. But you don't want to give any statements that can be used against you later down the road. So I usually say, call me first. Let's address your injuries up front, see what's going on. If you need to go to the ER, we'll talk about that, get you over there. But I just don't want I don't want someone to say the wrong thing. And I've seen it happen before where they're just caught up in the moment and they just start saying whatever.
Yeah.
Those whatever words can be used against you, especially if you're admitting liability, if you're apologizing for something you didn't do, all that can
Hmm.
be used against you later down the road. So I like to be that filter and that guide immediately after the crash.
Yeah. So I'll make sure I have Josh's information in the description so people can make sure that's saved to their phone, to whatever they need.
Oh,
Because I
awesome.
think
Yeah.
that's really important is obviously like you said, these things are stressful. We're not used to them. I've never been in a car accident like that. I can't imagine
Knock
what
on
my
wood.
brain is gonna be. Knock on wood. Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine where my brain might be, but I get stressed out very easily. You can say
Yeah.
anything, and you might not even remember what you say as
Yep.
well. That's a really big thing is you'll blank out, your brain will blank it out, especially if it's very
100%.
traumatizing. So it's really important to have someone like Josh behind you to be like, hey, don't say anything, make sure everything's safe, everyone's okay, or whatever needs to happen, but make sure you have someone in your corner to help you make sure that it makes the most sense for the entire situation. So I think that's really important. I wanted to
100%.
make sure I highlighted that. Um, yeah, so I think I had another question, but now I'm blanking on it. Oh, this is kind of a fun question. I was just kind of thinking about this. There are so many TV shows out there for like law, criminal, all things like that. Have you ever watched an episode and you're like, that is not how it goes? Or maybe on the flip side, you did watch it, and you're like, I'm surprised this is pretty good, actually.
Yeah, right now all the rave is Suits. I watched
Is it?
Suits right after I finished undergrad. So back in like 2014, 15. Um, the emphasis that they put on the bar exam, yeah, the bar exam is that hard. I know they were studying for like the New York bar exam. The
Mm,
Florida bar is one of the hardest things I've ever had to overcome.
yeah.
You can ask any lawyer or any law student. It is dreadful. Before law school, I had hair, and after worrying about the bar, I don't anymore. But the shows that I like, I guess none of them really like are spot on with how
Yeah.
practice works. Especially Suits. Suits is out of here. I mean,
Is
they're
it?
out of the world. They're doing crazy things in there. But maybe somewhere in New York, that's how they practice. I like Law and Order.
Okay.
I think Law and Order gives a little bit about how it is in the courtroom. I actually I had a hearing down in Hillsborough County in Tampa before, and my managing partner, he was like, "Hey, I don't really have a script for you. You're just going to go in there and wing it and give it your best shot." So I gave my best Law and Order impression, and it worked out for us, and it worked out for my clients. So thank
There
you,
you
Law and Order, for
go.
that.
That's so funny. One of my favorite, it's literally right there. One of my favorite movies of all time is Legally Blonde. Like
Oh yeah.
it's been my favorite movie since I was a child. Like I watched and I was like, I could probably be a lawyer. And it's like, no, I cannot, not at all.
Uh,
But I love that movie. And I did watch, I'm sure you've heard of the YouTuber, the lawyer YouTuber, Legal Eagle. Um,
yeah, the legal eagle.
yeah.
Kaka, he does the
Yeah,
little.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he watched Legal Blonde. He's like, this isn't that bad. He's like, it's not good necessarily, but it could be worse. And I was like, that
Yeah.
makes me feel better when watching Legally Blonde. So that was just kind of a fun question I thought. I was like,
No,
there's
that's
just
fair. I to some people though, you can kind of spin it like your life is Suits, but I try to be real with people. I'm like, I wish it was like that, but
I've never
I
seen Suits. Is Suits the one? Is Suits the
that's
one with Meghan Markle? Or is that a different
yes,
question?
yeah.
Okay.
They actually had a bunch of commercials. Like all the stars from that show were in a bunch of the Super Bowl commercials last
I
night.
heard of
So
that. Yeah, maybe I should watch Suits. It's like
it's really
old
good.
though, right? Like it's coming
It's
back.
older.
Like
Yeah,
it's like a
yeah.
resurgence of like
Because Netflix, I think, just uploaded it. I think it's on Netflix. So now everyone's
that
binge
does it.
watching it, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that
but
does
it's
it for
really
people.
good.
Is Mad Men about lawyers as well?
Mad Men,
The one
possibly.
with John Hamm. I don't know. I feel like
Possibly.
most like TV shows where they have suits on, they're usually lawyers or there's something
Yeah.
really something along that
It's
line. That's what I
it's funny
assume.
yeah, it's funny you say that. So like Suits is called Suits. I don't like wearing suits, being an athlete my entire life. So you will really only see me in a suit if I'm going to court.
Right.
Ideally, I'm in a polo. I like to just mingle amongst everyone and
Right.
try to be, but yeah, suit. That's a different type of law when you're in
Yeah.
that suit every day.
Suits line number one, lawyers do not wear suits.
Yeah,
They made that up.
yeah. Not all lawyers wear suits.
They matter too. Well, Josh, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it. It was super
Of
cool to learn
course.
more about what you do, your story, and I've always heard the quote that the best business owners are started out as athletes, which I can see that definitely helped a lot with you and having that persistency and perseverance. So, thank you again for the time. I
Yes,
really
of course.
appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you so much. And thank you to anyone listening. I really appreciate you, and I will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.